The rise of AI threatens the future of the creative job market significantly. Would you support a motion to ban the use of human artists' work in the training of generative AI?
About the rise of AI threatens the future of the creative job market significantly. Would you support a motion to ban the use of human artists' work in the training of generative AI?
Oh, I love that question, thank you. Part of what I do in the day job is around how we will use technology in a meaningful way, and I think those kind of questions have absolutely got to be part of that. I would say 100% we shouldn't allow that, particularly without permission. Because that's the problem with artists, the problem with writers. Stuff is being hooked into the system and nobody is being paid for that, and that's a real threat to our creative industries. So we absolutely have to deal with this. We can't just shut our eyes to that.
So now AI and technology is really important, and he used to say Cambridge is the Silicon Valley of Europe. Which I can't believe it when I look to the roads, to be honest, and the connection with the phone signals is very poor. So now we are really going to face trouble and more homeless people and more people struggling, because like Amazon building supermarkets, building shops without anyone working inside. So more of our community going to face trouble if Amazon decide to open something like Marks and Spencer, but no one working, just artificial intelligence type of business. So we have for Cambridge to avoid this type of too much AI, because we need people to work, we need our community to find a job, we need our people to survive this very expensive life. As I said, this is the second most expensive city in the UK. Even the coffee, when I go to drink a cup of coffee, it's more expensive than where? Atlantis Hotel. Thank you.
Yeah, banning AI and banning the things that are done with it is wishful thinking. Once this thing is out of the box, there's pretty much nothing you can do. If you don't do it, somebody else is going to do it, and then what do? How do you ban it? It's online, it's in the ether. What do you say? Back to you?
You're the government, ban it. If you get in, you get the government, so ban it.
How can you ban something that you can't ban? That's the question. So what do you suggest?
I'm asking what you promised.
What's the point? I mean, we like it not to be, but to ban something that can't be banned, especially when, the internet is worldwide, and we're just a small island, what do we do? That's the question. That's why we need to think about it together instead of just pontificating.
So I think the question wasn't about banning AI, if everyone was more about protecting artists and creative individuals who have their work frankly ripped off by AI. So AI is obviously going to be the most transformational thing that's probably ever happened in human history, and that's not overstating it. But the government are doing all the work already on trying to put the right safeguards and caveats in place so that we can benefit from the power of AI, but not at the expense of the creative industries. And I think the point made by the Labour candidate was a good one, is that you can do so, but only with permission, because there is benefit to AI taking people's creativity and making it better perhaps, but only if they're included and get the royalties that come with it, I think.
Yeah, really good question. I think basically you're talking about protecting creativity, which is such a precious thing. I feel like in my sort of middle age, I'm starting to become more creative as a person, because in my education it wasn't encouraged, and I'm really trying to do that with my 5-year-old son as well. I think with creativity, you've got to make time for it. Also, we need to bring in a universal basic income so people have the freedom to be creative. They don't have to be working 2 or 3 jobs, as I've done in the past, not to be an artist, but just to get by. I used to work in a cafe with lots of artists, and they were doing all the hours they could, and then the other time was spending doing their art and trying to make it that way. And it was a really, really hard life. So I think we need to respect artists, we need to make time for creativity in our education. Just say, I'm very, very lucky to be in Cambridge, because there's some wonderful clubs that I can cycle to with my son and get to, and he can be creative there, which in other cities I don't think it's that readily available. So I feel incredibly lucky in a creative way. Thank you for your question.
Thank you very much, Ms. Berkeley. I think
think it's Taylor Swift, as someone who's a self-confessed Swiftie, who's done a huge amount to highlight this issue recently. If I'm thinking of the right issue where essentially deep fake using AI was created off one of her songs, which was Unsolved, and so as a result she started raising this with the government and began trying to sue them for it. There's been a huge amount there. For me, this was the first time I come across this concept, and of course it came from Taylor Swift. So it's clear that regulation is needed. I would support a ban. I agree that it's very difficult once it's out of the box how to get it back in, but I think there's a principle to be made in saying actually we don't support this and we think this is wrong, because this is detrimental to our creative industries, and in practice we need to see much stronger regulation. It's an issue which the Education Secretary is dealing with as well. I went to a very interesting talk by Daisy Christodoulou, who's an educationist, looking at the impact of AI in education as well, and in things like producing essays and a school to submit, etc., and how you check. And I think it's an issue that we need to get to grips with and make sure we have that mechanism for regulation there in place.
Good, thank you very much.
My question is about political struggle. Well, I haven't heard much. We've heard of economic struggle, but how do you build the economic organisation without a political struggle, class struggle?
All of us working class, and all of us struggling. Any government forcing you to pay extra money to feed their budgets, their pockets basically, sorry, not their budget, because we get nothing in the end. It's really making us, the working class, suffering. So this is the reason where we are coming from the Worker Party here. We are trying to help the community, we are trying to help the people. Now, if we are talking about justice for the working class, it's really dangerous, because we have as well children, they are not working class, but they are facing poverty. There's people outside, they are not working class, but they are struggling and they have no treatment, they are in the streets, they have no place to stay in, and as well we have a bigger trouble now. What moving our people from the country? There's 8,000 millionaires had to run away last year from the country. Why? Because we are forcing them as well to pay extra tax, extra money. They decided to leave. So we are making our own people and the young generation to run away. So this is all about. We are facing disaster for everyone, not just the working class.
So I'll hazard a definition of the working class. It's the exploited class?
Yeah.
Could be? Okay, and then when the exploited class takes power, they don't actually take power, they're exploited by psychopaths who take power. Isn't that correct? French Revolution, Russian Revolution, every revolution. Correct? There you have it.
It's not simple.
So I come from the former mining side of the northwest of England. It's probably what everyone would assume to be working class, and I'll tell you, people who live there don't give a toss about what working class, middle class, upper class means. They just get on with life, they work hard, and they want to crack on in life and provide for their families. But I think the more important point, rather than defining working class, is more the representation point you mentioned, which is something I'm deeply passionate about. In recent years, there's been a surge in talk around diversity and inclusion, particularly on boards, on TV, etc. But the one thing that's always consistently missed out is the background that someone's come from, socioeconomically. Race, gender, etc. is incredibly important. But if we have good racial diversity, but everybody went to private school, everybody was multi-millionaires, it's not real diversity. So the thing we need to do more is recognise that people have different socioeconomic backgrounds, and that's where representation is important.
Thank you very much. How do you define the working class? Someone who's thinking about money a lot. I've come from the working class, and it's not fun. It's not fun. I think one in 5 people in this country living below the breadline means that at least a fifth are working class and struggling. This is awful. It's a massive proportion of our country. We have a scandal of rising child poverty as well. So we need to, this is something that the Green Party seriously addresses with our wealth tax. So this is how you get a fairer country, and this is how you redeem the working class for all their struggle over all these generations. I mean, we need to sort it out. The Labour Party did not sort it out in their time of government between 1997 and 2010. I believe the Cambridge City Foodbank was opened in 2010. So we really need to address this and tax the wealthy. We're saying for people that have over £10 million in assets to pay 1%, and people with over £1 billion in assets to pay 2%. Yeah, that's where we start.
Okay, thanks very much.
Thank you very much. I think the definition becomes increasingly blurred, doesn't it, actually, where you have more and more families now, and more people who actually are working one or two jobs, which once upon a time were reasonably well paid, now find it really hard to get by. So I think the lines at which we will cause them working class or not is very hard to draw. I also think, for me, it's where I'm not, it's a term I'm not always comfortable with, because I think there's a lifestyle associated with it, and there's certain ways of being, places where you eat, where you go, where you're almost expected, you're sort of pigeonholed into acting in a certain way if you're working class, if you're middle class. I find that really uncomfortable because I'm a liberal. I would rather say a classless society, but actually it doesn't matter what kind of shops you go to, where you go.
Society as well.
Absolutely, and for me, a big part of that. So a big part, I think, how we do that is by rebalancing. And so I think saying how we abolish the working class, well, it's not really a thing that we can abolish. But what we can do is we can put the taxes in the right place to support the system and bring about that systemic rebalancing. We can put a windfall tax on the big fossil fuel companies to put it back into renewables to help reduce our energy bills. We can tax the social media companies, which we know are harmful to our children, to put mental health counsellors in each school. And I think for me, that's how we start to redress it.
Okay.
Yeah, well, I'm a history teacher by background and also a member of the Labour Party, so I'm going to quote the original clause 4, which is talking about workers by hand or brain. And I think what makes you working class is that you have to in some way work for a living, and if you don't work, you'll probably lose your house, you'll lose your food, your security and stability comes from your job. And that is a lot of people, and for many people that job doesn't even give them that security and stability anymore. And one of the reasons we have a real pressure on food in this city is because people are having to work 3 jobs. By the time they're finished, the shops aren't even open anymore because they're trying to juggle everything. I would challenge what Sarah said. 500,000 children were lifted out of poverty by the last Labour government and 1 million pensioners. And I think we need to celebrate what the last government did, but one government can't achieve everything, and we need to then look to the future, and it is only Labour, I would argue, that is able to achieve what we need now for our country. Thank you.